Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is your boy Fitzmonk TV here, aka G133. I'm back here today with another video on the channel for y'all. Today, we are back here with another episode of the Legit Shoot podcast, here with your SmackDown review and results for August 27, 2021. I hope you guys are staying safe and doing well. We're back at it. This is actually the first podcast since SummerSlam weekend. We did our SummerSlam review on Sunday, if you guys remember. That was a 3-hour podcast. And I'll be honest with you guys, I've been pretty drained of wrestling this week. I did watch AEW Dynamite, right? I just didn't have the time to sit down and record a Dynamite review. I apologize for that. But the stuff's been really busy on my end. But I do plan to be doing Dynamite reviews going forward and doing Rampage here and there. You know, I am adding that AEW element to the channel, especially when you have the WWE product the way it is today. You know, I read an article and it explained WWE's situation perfectly. WWE is not going anywhere. Right, WWE is going to be here for a long, long time. They have so many different avenues to make money. And that's the main thing that's important to them, making money. And WWE's not really going to have too much trouble making money with all the partnerships they have and all the sponsorships, endorsements, all that. They'll be fine. But if you want real professional wrestling, stuff that focuses on storylines and character and what actually happens in between those ropes, that's where AEW comes in. WWE is where you're going to go if you want wacky entertainment. And you want a product that's not really wrestling focused. That's where WWE is now. AEW is now the true home for professional wrestling in this industry. And I feel like more and more people are starting to realize that, you know, the longer time goes on. Basically, CM Punk already confirmed on Dynamite, basically, saying that Daniel Bryan is coming to AEW as Bryan Danielson. And we're basically just waiting for All Out for Bryan to make his official debut. And I'm very excited for that. Adam Cole, his contract with WWE just expired at midnight on Friday. So he's officially a free agent. There's still a chance he could get signed to a Raw or SmackDown deal. But he's most likely probably going to AEW where his fiance is, and we shouldn't really look at those moves as, if you're a fan of professional wrestling, those moves shouldn't hurt you because they're just going to a place that's more focused on professional wrestling. WWE is not that place anymore, and that's what I'm coming to realize more and more. As much as I'm a fan of the WWE still, I recognize that. This is not the same WWE that was successful back in the Attitude Era anymore. AEW is now that place where I gotta go to get my real professional wrestling. Every once in a while, WWE has good storylines or has a good feud that results in an epic clash, like Edge and Seth Rollins, for example. Sasha and Bianca at WrestleMania. Most of Roman's matches over the last year. But that's a very small amount of good actual professional wrestling, and it's actually very small amount of what professional wrestling should be compared to the other 95% of garbage that we actually get on WWE TV. And that's an unhealthy balance. Why should you torture yourself through so much bad professional wrestling to get so little good? Where AEW, even though AEW is not perfect, because Dynamite on Wednesday, it wasn't a bad show, but it was an underwhelming show, especially them coming off the huge debut of CM Punk from Rampage the week prior. So, still, I recognize AEW as the new number one when it comes to professional wrestling because they have more of a focus on what wrestling should be. And WWE, what they're doing now, it's just not it. It's not it. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that on tonight's review because you look at SmackDown, right? The two big things, or the three big things you could say that, basically SmackDown is banking on is, one, the return of Becky Lynch, two, the return of Brock Lesnar, and three, of course, Roman Reigns, right? Basically, those are the big three things, and everything else is either second fiddle or doesn't matter. And it's disappointing because you guys heard me rant. First off, I want to say thank you to all the support, all the new subscribers we got in this SummerSlam weekend, right? The new subscribers have been through the roof, and you guys have been killing it with your support of the SummerSlam review, the video I did about Becky, Sasha, and Bianca, which we'll talk about a little bit in today's review, and everything else. You guys have been absolutely killing it with the support, and like I said, I would not be here without you guys. I would not, right? But the fact that WWE's relying on these things to counter CM Punk and it's not doing anything, then it just shows how desperate WWE is. Becky Lynch came back just this last Saturday, right? And I've been talking for months about Becky's return, how they could do it, what storyline she could be in, etc., etc. But I'm going to be honest with you guys. Becky just came back on Saturday, and after the events of Saturday, the emotional roller coaster that night was, and everything we've heard over the past week, I'm already over Becky Lynch's being back. I'm already over it. And I saw Becky last night on SmackDown, watch her make her entrance, watch her give her promo, and you could clearly see that they're teasing her going heel. It might be a long road to her officially being a heel, but clearly that's the direction that they're going with. It's going to be a very slow heel turn for Becky Lynch. Right? But I'm already over it. My interest has already gone out the window because of the booking situation. You can't just bring Becky back and do what you did at SummerSlam and just think, everything's going to be fine and dandy. Even more real wrestling fans are actually starting to realize what I've been saying. Becky Lynch and Charlotte have been overbooked. It doesn't matter if you like them. If you are a true wrestling fan, you have to recognize this. You have to recognize this. Because Becky Lynch, man, you can't just come back, squash somebody that they've been building up all year in Bianca BelAir, and then just saying everything's going to be landy-dandy just because you're one of the biggest stars in the company. There was going to be severe backlash. And you could hear some of that backlash on SmackDown. And I'm actually happy because it shows that not all wrestling fans are dumb and casuals. Because, many of the casuals are the ones saying they're like, oh, let's see what's going to happen. Becky being at the top of the division with the title is the best thing. No, but when you look at it, when you analyze it, when you see what actually happened, you see that actually, no, this is bad for the division. This does nothing for anybody. You buried Bianca BelAir in the process. And, even with what they did last night on SmackDown, they did nothing to make Bianca look better even after they messed her up. And we still have no idea what's going on with Sasha Banks. It's still been over a week. It's been 2 weeks since she was last seen on television. And we have no idea what's going on. People want to still assume that she has COVID. We don't know, but she was not at SmackDown at all last night. She wasn't even backstage. So it is very, very weird that we have absolutely zero clue what's going on with Sasha. I can understand that she likes to keep things private, but the fact that we don't know anything, and now people are just assuming that she has COVID. Maybe that's the case. But the fact that we just don't know anything at all, it is sad. It sucks. Because you guys saw how We Want Sasha was trending. People want to see her back and want to see her on top. And all we just want to do is wish the best for Sasha. But the fact that we still don't know anything, and it's been 2 weeks, we don't have a glimmer of anything about what happened with her. It is very, very odd. Very, very odd. And I do hope that Sasha's okay. But you just look at things, man. We have no idea where Sasha is, right? No, Becky Lynch has been now being overpushed. Bianca's buried, and they're doing nothing, to make the situation better. You have so much talent in that women's division that's not being used. Toni Storm hasn't been on the show in over a month and a half now, since she made her debut. No Tegan Nox and Shotzi Blackheart this week. You also have Naomi, who finally made a return to television, and it's we don't really know what they're doing with her. The SmackDown women's division has so much talent. It easily could be the best women's division in the entire company. It could be better than NXT UK. It could be better than Raw. It could be better than NXT. because of the amount of talent that they have with it. They have star power. They have up and coming superstars, and you have the necessary jobbers in there as well. Because let's be honest, you do need some jobbers here and there. But the thing about it is you're not doing a good job of building it up. And if you think what you did on SummerSlam with Becky was the answer, it wasn't. It wasn't. It made things so much more worse. So much worse. And we're going to get into that right now. All right. I just want to say, if you guys are new to the channel, as we get into the SmackDown review, I ask you guys to please hit that like button, hit that red button to subscribe, and also hit that bell for all notifications so you guys don't miss out whenever I post a new video. Make sure to check out the SummerSlam reviews and all the other podcasts we dropped last weekend. Last week was a crazy, crazy week. All right, but I'm gonna play the clip. Becky opened the show. So like I was saying, Becky opened the show, right? Which I was not surprised for. I was not surprised. Becky was highly advertised for the show, and it was gonna be interesting. The one thing that I did, people knew people were gonna pay attention to the pop she got, but really listen to the pop she got. Like, she got a good amount of cheers, and that was clearly gonna be that was gonna be a thing, because this was her first night back on SmackDown, right? SummerSlam is dying down, so it was gonna be interesting to see, was it gonna be fully cheers? And it wasn't. She did get a decent reaction, especially since this was her first time being on SmackDown in a while. But the problem is you also hear a little bit of boos and a little bit of indifference, because yes, Becky is one of the most popular superstars in the company, right? But people have a very sour taste in their mouths about how she was booked at SummerSlam. It's exactly what I'm saying. You cannot be a big star in any company and just be allowed to do whatever you want and think the fans are going to accept that. John Cena was on top of WWE for over a decade, and people got fatigued of that. That was why people booed him. And now when Cena's been gone for all this time, and when he came back at Money in the Bank, not one person booed Cena. Everyone recognized this is an all-time great, right? And when he's gone, and when he finished wrestling for good, it's going to be a sad day. So let me enjoy what I have of him now, right? This is the same situation with Becky Lynch. Becky is very, very popular, one of the top stars in the company. But the way you booked her made people angry, because you can't just book Becky however you want just because the fans love her. People aren't going to accept that. People, real wrestling fans, want stuff that makes sense. Not stuff done just to get a reaction, just because you're trying to make a big moment to counter what AEW did with CM Punk. Okay? So Becky came out, and she got a good reaction, but there was also some boos and indifference in here. And I knew that was going to happen. And we've heard the reports. I reported on it earlier this week. Becky Lynch, they are in the process of turning her heel, right? And if you guys want, go check out my rant video. I did a whole hour podcast talking about Becky and how it was disrespectful to Sasha and the problem with it all. I went really in depth. So go check out that video, if you guys haven't already. I don't want to talk about it too much on here. But, Becky, casuals will say, oh, Becky's not turning heel at all based off her promo. This is a full babyface promo. And for the most part, this promo is a babyface promo. But clearly, if you really analyze it and you look at what Becky's saying, there's planting the seed slowly. Becky's not going to turn heel right away. All right? This is going to take place over the coming weeks, the coming months. And slowly, right, Becky will make a full transition to a heel. This is kind of like what happened with Bayley a couple years ago. Remember when Bayley realigned herself with Sasha Banks, when Sasha turned heel, when she was feuding with Becky a couple years ago after SummerSlam? It took Bayley about 2 months to fully turn heel, but then she did. That's what's most likely going to happen here with Becky. It's going to be a very, very slow turn. Even though I don't like it, especially because it ended up to Bianca being buried, and Becky stole a moment from Sasha Banks, even though we don't have any idea what's going on with Sasha Banks. I just don't like the way it was executed. I don't have a problem. I just want to say this. I don't have a problem with Becky Lynch being turned heel. I don't. I have a problem with the way it's being executed. There was no need for Bianca to be done dirty the way she was at SummerSlam just for Becky to be turned heel. Really, it's really that simple. You could have had Becky, challenge Bianca at Extreme Rules and turn heel then and take the title from Bianca if you wanted to. Why did you have to do it the way you did at SummerSlam? You know what I mean? But let me play Becky's promo for you guys.
Oh, it feels good to be back, but not just back. Oh, it feels good to be back, but not just back. We back on top, baby! I missed you guys. Now let me tell you, when I had to give up my Raw Women's Championship a year and a half ago, that was one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do. And not just because I was giving up a title, but it felt like I was giving up my identity and my life as I knew it. And I promise you, I have been working every day since to get back to where I once was.
Look, I'm not going to sit here and say Becky's promo sucks just because I'm unhappy with the way she's been booked. This is not a bad promo. I actually appreciate that she explained, hey, giving up the Raw Women's Championship was hard. Remember, she held that title for a year, regardless of how I thought about the reign. Because you guys know, for those who've been listening to me for any duration of time, you guys know I thought Becky's reign as Raw Women's Champion was awful. Or not awful, but it wasn't that good. It was an overrated reign. People just look at the reign because she held the title for a year. But she really didn't do much with that title outside of some great matches with Sasha and Asuka, if we're being truly honest with ourselves. But I did like how Becky at least mentioned how much giving up the Raw Women's Championship, affected her. I do appreciate that. And now she had to fight back, to get back to this point. How she fought as hard as ever, with her pregnancy and after having a child to, get back in shape and then return. I do appreciate that.
But now I do have a new life, and I do have a new set of priorities. And if you think that I was dangerous before, when I was just fighting for myself, you have no idea about how deadly I'm about to be.
That's a good line. Right? Becky's saying, now she has more motivation than ever to be as dangerous as she was before. These are not bad lines. Her talking about how her having a child and becoming a mother has motivated her. Now she's not just fighting for herself, she's fighting for her family, right? It makes perfect sense. I have no problem with what Becky's saying here. I have no problem with it. And for the most part, yes, this is babyface for right now. But notice what she does here at the end of the segment.
Which brings me to SummerSlam.
And then you can hear the boos. See? I appreciate you people in Arkansas for not just cheering. People in Arkansas actually recognizing, the way that WWE chose to go with SummerSlam and that SmackDown Women's Championship segment was not good. I like how the crowd here is at least acknowledging and not acting dumb. They could easily cheer yeah, Becky, you became champ. Everything's back to normal. No, they're recognizing here that, hey, we didn't like how you buried Bianca in 26 seconds. That could have been done a lot better. A lot better.
I hear you. There has been a lot of controversy about my return, a lot of people talking about my actions and saying that I was underhanded. And all right, I would like to take this time to say that I am sorry.
And you getting
absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and it makes sense. Why would Becky apologize? You know, from a character standpoint, why would Becky apologize? She has nobody to apologize to. So I'm not like I said, I'm not gonna get on Becky for her promo. You know, my problem, I have a little bit of a problem with Becky because Becky could have honestly just said, no, there's a better way to do this without me squashing Bianca in 26 seconds, right? And my main problem is with creative and Vince with this desperate act to counter AEW, but in their desperate, in their desperate cry, right? They made a huge mistake. And this is going to affect them a lot longer into the future than they think.
WWE for long enough to know that everything is about timing. And you can call it a lucky break, but really all it is when opportunity meets preparation, and all I needed was an opportunity, because if you think I wasn't preparing for this every second of every day, then you haven't been paying attention to my career.
You know, I'm not here to make it.
So Becky's just saying that she took advantage of an opportunity, which she did. Like I said, you can't sit here and deny that. She took advantage of an opportunity. She took advantage of an opportunity and made the most of it. That's not my problem here. There was way better. There was so many different scenarios that they could have done. They could have just done a stare down between Becky and Bianca and ended it there. They could have actually done a match and then have Bianca beat Becky and then do a rematch in Extreme Rules, and then you could do the Becky heel turn. There's lots of different things that you could have done with this, but I'm sorry. There is no way, there is no explanation that will make Becky beating Bianca in 26 seconds make any logical sense. There's no explanation for it. There's nothing you could say. You know, you can't try if you're truly one of the people that's gonna say, "Oh, let's see this play out. This is gonna make Bianca a bigger star in the long run." Then you're just an idiot. You are just an idiot, and it's just that simple.
Excuses, because that's not my style. But if you think that I'm okay with what happened at SummerSlam, girl, because I have been the one that's been right here working too hard and too long just for you to walk in and try to erase all of that in 26 seconds. So you want to talk about timing? Okay, well, I accepted your last minute challenge. So how about the EST and the man tear it down for the SmackDown Women's Championship tonight?
Look, like, okay, but there should have been a lot more, intensity in Bianca here. Bianca should have came out here storming mad. I'm not saying she should have came out storming and mad at Becky, because at the end of the day, right, I'm not gonna just let Bianca off the hook. Bianca was the one that accepted Becky's challenge. I remember I complained about it. Bianca stared Becky down for 2-3 minutes before accepting that challenge. So it's not like she didn't have time to think about it. Bianca accepted Becky's challenge, but Bianca should be storming mad that she allowed herself to lose in 26 seconds. That's what if I'm Bianca, I'm just like, look, I put on a classic at WrestleMania with Sasha Banks, one of the best women's matches in history. I put on great matches with Bayley at WrestleMania Backlash and Hell in a Cell. I've already beat 2 of the 4 horsewomen. But the fact that I allow myself to be beat not only at SummerSlam, but to lose in 26 seconds, that's to frustrate her. Don't just come out here with this lucky, I'm all happy, yes, I made a mistake, but, let's make up for it right now. No, she should be angry. She should be demanding that Becky, gives her a rematch. Not just sitting here like, let's have a rematch tonight. Let's tear this house down. No, Bianca should be coming out like, nah, bitch. I'm going to show you that I ain't no afterthought. I'm going to beat your ass tonight, and I'm taking back what's mine. That's the Bianca that we should be getting with this promo. So I'm not saying Bianca's presentation here is bad, But where's the intensity? Where's the anger? Where's the emotion? You want to tell me that this whole story is meant for Bianca to be put more over? You're not doing a good job of it. They're not doing a good job of it. Plus, you bring out then Zelina Vega and Carmella again. Again. You have Zelina Vega talking about how she needs a championship opportunity.
No. You know what? Here's what you should do, Bianca, because you already embarrassed yourself once before. Pretty sure no one wants to see that again. I think that you should fall back, and instead of here being, begging for a rematch like a little dog, and instead of you searching lost dog ads to find competition for yourself, maybe you should fall back and let me have that match with you.
I don't understand why these two think they deserve to be in the title picture when they both get beat week after week after week after week.
Thank you, Liv. Speak the truth. Zelina and Carmella come out every week. No matter if it's Sasha, no matter if it's Bianca, now Becky. They come out every week looking for championship matches when they've been booked as losers. I have a little bit of respect for Carmella because I actually know Carmella can go in the ring. But the thing about it is, when you're booked like a loser most of the time, why should I care? Why should I care? They're like, Carmella is a loser. Zelina Vega is a loser. Zelina came back when Aleister Black, her husband, went to AEW, and Zelina has not won a match. JD tweeted I believe he said that Zelina was 0 for 12, and I actually died of laughter. I was like, there's no way that stat is true. But I could see it now. Zelina has been booked like a loser, not winning one single match since he came back. And Carmella, the last time she won a match, I believe, was against Liv way back in June, and then Liv won that feud. So, Liv's making perfect sense. Why should we care about anything Carmella and Zelina have to say when they've been booked as losers on WWE TV? That's the thing. That's when you overpush people like Becky and Charlotte, and everybody else below them is booked as jobbers. And, at best, they're made to be, you look strong 50% of the time. It doesn't do anything for the division because they don't look credible. It's just, it goes through one ear and out the other when they speak. Because we're like, why are you out here? You're a loser in our eyes. Why should we care? So we're sitting here. I'm just like, I was happy that Liv was there. Because you guys know, I still believe that Liv should have won Money in the Bank. And Liv, got actually a decent crowd reaction here. You can tell she's actually over with the crowd as a babyface. And it boggles my mind how they don't use her as a babyface. How is she not being booked and pushed more strongly as a babyface in that women's division? She is popular as hell. She has charisma. She can go in the ring. Liv has everything to be successful. And I hate when Liv is not being used. So, I had no problem with Liv really being out there, even though the core of this should just be Becky and Bianca. But I didn't have a problem with Liv being out there because I want to see Liv succeed. I want to see Liv in that championship hunt for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I love Liv, and I want to see her succeed. Zelina Vega and Carmella added nothing of substance to this segment. They added nothing to this at all. And then, like I said, the potential here with the SmackDown Women's division is there. Where's Toni Storm once again? Where's Tegan Nox? Where's Shotzi Blackheart? There's so much potential in this division that this division is absolutely stacked when you really look at it. And, of course, you add the best female wrestler of all time in Sasha whenever she's back and hopefully she's well and cleared and ready to go, right? The division's going to look better. But having chumps like Carmella and Zelina out here just make everything worse. And they don't add anything of value to this.
That's a good point. Corey, do you agree?
But Becky, if you're looking for a contender, I'm right here.
think y'all done lost y'all damn mind. Because this ain't even got nothing to do with y'all at all. This is between me and the man. So, Becky, forget them. How about we do this right? Let's give the people the match that they want. The EST versus the man tonight. Let's do it.
Nah. Not tonight, not tonight.
Well, Bianca BelAir is not going to get her opportunity. She's going to have to wait for another crack at the SmackDown Women's Champion.
And this is
high and dry by the SmackDown Women's Champion, Becky Lynch. Well, Becky's the champ now. Make those decisions when she wants to.
Yeah, to be fair, she didn't say no forever. She said no tonight.
True.
She'll think about it.
Follow us.
look, and this is I didn't like it. People would be like, "Oh yeah, cool Becky Lynch, right? Just denying her challenge." No, I didn't like that. I didn't like that. And clearly, this is just the tease or the seeds being played of Becky turning heel. You know, Becky just saying nah and just leaving the ring. You know, right? Bianca accepted her challenge on the spot, no preparation. Bianca was in emotional shock seeing Becky returned at SummerSlam, and she still accepted that challenge. You know, and Becky's not going to offer the same thing. So clearly, you can see, you know, it's very, very small. It's a very small seed, but the seed has been planted for Becky to turn heel, just by Becky sitting there and simply saying, "Nah, not tonight, not tonight." So clearly, you guys can see that, you know, in the long run, Becky is gonna turn heel. I don't know how long when did he plan to have that happen? Clearly, Extreme Rules would make the most sense. Because after this, we had a fatal four-way number one contenders match. First off, in terms of the number one contenders match, this didn't make any sense to me. All right? It didn't make no sense to me because I was like, look, Bianca should be the clear-cut number one contender. The only person that should have any say in Bianca not being the number one contender, with all due respect, I love Liv. I want to see her in the championship picture, but we haven't really seen her as much, so it doesn't really make sense for her to be number one contender. And Zelina and Carmella, I already told you, they should have nothing to do with anything. They should be nowhere near the championship picture. The only person that should have any say in what goes on with Becky and Bianca being the number one contender, is Sasha Banks. Because it was Sasha's opportunity that was taken away from her at SummerSlam. Sasha was the number one contender. Sasha was supposed to be the one to get that match at SummerSlam, but she didn't because we don't have any idea of why she's still out. And it's sad that we have no idea. You know, that she's the only person that should have any say in Bianca getting her rematch first. But as long as Sasha is not there, and we don't know when Sasha's going to return. As long as Sasha is not there, it should just be, the focus should just be Bianca and Becky. If Sasha comes back in the next couple weeks, which I hope, right? If Sasha comes back, in the next couple weeks, maybe you do a triple threat match. I don't know. But, for right now, as long as Sasha is out, let's assume Sasha is not coming back at least for a couple weeks. The story should be Becky and Bianca, and then you can put Sasha back in the title picture, when she comes back. And we'll deal with that, when we get there. But for right now, as long as Sasha's out, let's just focus on Becky and Bianca. There was no reason to have a fatal four-way number one contenders match. Like I just said, Liv hasn't done anything really to deserve a championship opportunity, and Zelina and Carmella have lost so many times, they don't even really deserve to be on the show. So you did a fatal four-way number one contenders elimination match, and the match wasn't bad, but it just didn't make sense. It just didn't make sense because it was just like, like, it shouldn't be happening. Bianca should be the clear-cut number one contender, unless Sasha comes back and has something to say about that. So, we saw BelAir hit Vega with the KOD. Then we saw Liv Morgan and Carmella packing. So we saw Morgan and Bianca be the final two here to determine who's going to be the number one contender. It was pretty clear that Bianca was probably going to be the one to win, but still, Morgan did a great job here. And this is just another showcase of how underrated Liv Morgan is. Of how underrated Liv Morgan is in the ring, right? Liv Morgan did a great job here showcasing her skills. You guys know how much I love Liv Morgan, right? Liv Morgan did a great job of countering Bianca's power game. Morgan delivered a code breaker for a near fall. BelAir recovered, sent Morgan face first into the top turnbuckle, and then delivered the KOD for the victory. So, like I said, this match was good because of BelAir and Morgan in the second half. And BelAir, even though I will say that BelAir didn't need to have this match at all, but, she is now the clear number one contender for Becky's title, right? And I'm almost certain we'll get that match at Extreme Rules here in the next month. So like I said, I still don't like the execution of SummerSlam. I don't even really like how this story is being built at the moment. But it's a slow build, and I'm not gonna say let's see what happens, because still, no matter what they do, it's not going to make up for the fact of how much they fucked up at SummerSlam. But I would be lying if I didn't say I had some interest to seeing how this is going to go. How is Becky going to turn heel? Because Becky, she does look like a clear-cut babyface now. But it will be interesting if she does turn heel. Because this is a story with Bianca that can go on for a good amount of the fall. If Sasha's not back. Like, this could go through Extreme Rules, through the next pay-per-view in October, right? This could go on for a while between these two. So it'll be interesting to see how WWE books it. And I am interested to see how Becky does eventually turn heel. But it's not going to make up for the fact that they messed up at SummerSlam and that the execution of this could have been done so much better, right? And I hope Sasha has a role in this as well. But, right now, we don't know what's going to happen until Sasha comes back. Okay, so that's my thoughts on that. So we had some other things that happened on this show. All right, we'll talk about the Universal Championship in just a little bit. But we had Paul Heyman. Basically, he got locked out of Roman Reigns' locker room, right? He was getting interviewed by Kayla Braxton, and then he tried to get into Roman's locker room, and then he found himself locked up, and he didn't know what to really think, especially since Roman had not been at the arena yet. So, basically, the Usos confronted him. They confronted him, and they accused him of knowing that Brock Lesnar would be at SummerSlam and shut him out, right? And, the Usos brought up how the Usos were told to not be at ringside for Roman's match with Cena, and they were sent backstage. They thought Heyman, had kind of egged Roman into doing this because, he knew that Brock was going to come back. Clearly, you can see here that they're trying to, tell a story here. Is Heyman secretly still loyal to Lesnar, right? Heyman's made it adamant that he's only loyal to the tribal chief Roman Reigns. But like I said, this is an interesting story. I told you guys at the SummerSlam review, I'm not that interested in another match with Brock and Roman. We've seen that match so many times. Even with Brock as a babyface now and as good as Roman has become, I'm still not really interested in that match. I'm not saying that they can't put on a good match, but I'm really not that interested. I'm more interested in the story here, especially with Paul Heyman, because Heyman was loyal to Lesnar, and then Lesnar disappeared since WrestleMania last year, right? We don't know per storyline, right? We don't know what's happening, what happened between Lesnar and Heyman during those months. We don't know if they just didn't have any communication with one another. We don't know if they just cut their association off. We have no idea like what happened between those two, over the last couple months or over the last year and a half. But Heyman's made it adamant. Excuse me. Heyman's made it adamant that he's still loyal to Roman despite anything. It doesn't matter that Brock's back, but he's still loyal to Roman. So it's going to be interesting to see when Brock does appear on SmackDown. We don't know when. But when Brock does appear on SmackDown, what does Heyman do then? Because Brock's going to confront Heyman. So it's going to be interesting to see how does Heyman deal with that. Because deep down Heyman is terrified of Brock. But he also has to be terrified of Roman as well. So it's going to be a very, very interesting story. If Lesnar had chosen to be on Monday Night Raw, right, and go back after the WWE Championship, right, they would have just had Heyman on both shows. They would have had Heyman with Brock on Raw and have Heyman with Roman on SmackDown. Okay? But clearly, Brock's most likely to be on SmackDown going after Roman, then that's what makes the storyline so interesting. So later in the night, Roman walked to his locker room, and he noticed right away that Heyman was being weird, and that Heyman didn't open the door for him. It was actually kind of funny. Like, Roman was like, oh, do I have to open my own doors now? And Heyman's like, oh, I'm sorry, my tribal chief. And then Roman's like, are you coming inside? Yes, my tribal chief. So, like, I like how Heyman's playing this, like, traumatized guy who's nervous of Roman. But the thing is, Roman hasn't said anything about Brock. He didn't even literally acknowledge him. So, it's very, very interesting to see how the story in its early stages is being built up. So, back in the arena, we had Chad Gable and Otis, right? They made their way to the ring. Gable had a match with Cesaro. So they're doing this little mini feud with Cesaro and Otis. And basically, what happened is Cesaro had Gable set up for the swing, and then Otis came in for the disqualification. 2-on-1 beatdown on Cesaro, and then Otis came in and hit him with a slam. Or hit him with a splash from the top rope to end the segment. So it's interesting here, right? Cesaro's clearly at a 2-on-1 disadvantage. He's struggling with the Alpha Academy, right? Because anytime he seems to get a, make some momentum, right? The other person comes in. So, clearly, even the odds, Cesaro's going to need another guy. Kevin Owens was on commentary tonight, if you guys didn't notice, right? Pat McAfee has COVID, and he announced it, and he's at home quarantining at the moment. So Pat McAfee will be back in a couple weeks, when he's cleared. I believe he's vaccinated, but still, that's besides the point. Right. So Owens was on commentary tonight with Michael Cole and Corey Graves. Right, they're filling in for Pat McAfee at the moment. So clearly, I could easily see Owens being put into this, right? Owens is another babyface, another popular babyface on SmackDown. So clearly, I can see Owens coming to Cesaro's aid here, and then them using that to them, to get the odds over on what is it, Gable and Otis. I could easily see that being the case, because Cesaro's not gonna make much headway if he's getting 2-on-1 every single week. So, a little side story there. I'm happy that Cesaro, Gable, and Otis are all being featured on SmackDown. That's what I take from here. Nothing too crazy, but I'm happy that they're being featured on the show at least. So then, we have Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin, he has struck it rich, right? So, we've seen over the last couple months that Corbin has struggled basically financially after losing his crown, and how he became all depressed, walking around with mustard on his shirt, trying to beg people for money, all this stuff. He even had like the gray beard, and like his hairline was not looking good at all, right? So it was struggle times, right? Struggle times for Corbin. But Corbin now looks like things are on the up for him. he had success in Las Vegas. There was like a video of him finding, I think, like, what was it, like poker chips, something like that, or blackjack chips. And clearly, he went to a casino in Vegas and he was able to strike it rich, right? So Corbin's had a complete change of fortune. No longer is he homeless Corbin, but now he's back to rich Corbin. And it's a little bit, I didn't mind this. It's because it's not the Corbin that we got with when he was King of the Ring, right? When he was wearing that ridiculous crown and cape. Corbin actually looked nice here. He had a really fancy suit on. He shaved his head, shaved his beard. Looking clean. Had a nice high-end vehicle. So Corey came out looking very, very fresh on SmackDown. So Corbin came with this new happy Corbin. So I guess his gimmick's being changed now to Happy Corbin. But I guess the struggle that he went through, now is making him happy that he was able to find success in Vegas. He talked about his riches. He talked about his wardrobe. He talked about his expensive watch, and then he called Big E to the ring. He tried to purchase the Money in the Bank briefcase from Big E. He offered him $100,000 for the Money in the Bank briefcase, and Big E said no. There was also kind of a little bit of comedic relief here because, what was it? Big E had a bunch of things in his in his singlet, right? And he had like a half-eaten sandwich. He also had like a plush toy in there. He also had like a pencil from backstage. I was like, wait a minute, like Biggie, how do you fit that stuff in there? I was like, wait, how do you walk in the ring and that doesn't because you would have never noticed that on TV if he didn't pull it out, right? Like you didn't see he had a plush toy and a sandwich in there. You think you would have seen something popping up in his gear, but you didn't see anything. So I kind of laughed at that. I was like, damn, how do you walk casually around like that? But still, he refused, or he denied Corbin's request. Then Biggie said, I'm done with this, right? If you don't get in the ring, I'm going to punch you in the face. And Corbin said he's too happy and rich for this. So Corbin just exited the squared circle and left. So I don't know really what the story here. Look, I do like kind of the evolution of Corbin's character. I just don't know where this is going. I don't really have anything, any more interest in this feud, right? Because clearly this is just to keep Big E busy because they have nothing else for him because they're just waiting for him to cash in whenever that's going to be, right? And they do this with every single Money in the Bank winner. It's like, come on, you do better, But they didn't really tease anything out of this segment. It was just done. So we'll see where this goes. I'm not just sitting here. I'm excited to see where this goes because I'm really not. This is just really a filler feud, but we'll see what happens. All right. But I did kind of like the evolution of Baron Corbin's character here. He's done a really good job going from, being absolutely homeless to now, back to rich, back to balling, just like that. So next up, we had the Intercontinental Champion, Shinsuke Nakamura, and Rick Boogs versus Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode in tag team action, right? This was not really much about Nakamura. This was more about Rick Boogs, okay? So, Boogs introduced Nakamura, right, with the same rocking entrance. I did actually hear, earlier this week that Nakamura has re-signed with WWE and that he's actually really happy, and I'm happy for Nakamura, right? To see Nakamura kind of have this career resurgence this year with Rick Boogs and, right, becoming Intercontinental Champion and, becoming the King of Strong Style again. I'm happy for Nakamura. Really, really happy because you guys know how much I enjoy his work. And it's good to see that, he's happy in what he's doing right now. I really hope this continues for him. I would love to see Nakamura back in the main event scene, fighting for major world titles. But we'll see what happens. But still, I like what they're doing with Nakamura right now. But Rick Boogs was really impressive here. Nakamura got beat by, was getting beaten down by Ziggler and Rude as the match went on. Then Nakamura was able to tag in Boogs for the hot tag. And, I'll say Boogs is very charismatic as a babyface. Very charismatic. He threw around, He threw around Rude and Ziggler with pretty ease, right? And when he set up Ziggler for the finisher, Rude came in, but Nakamura knocked him out of the ring. Ziggler went for a roll-up, but Boogs countered it into it looked kind of like a Bro Derek. I think it was a pump handle slam, but it looked very similar to Matt Riddle's Bro Derek. But it was enough to get the victory for the team. So Boogs and Nakamura win, right? I like this, but I will ask myself, what's the plan for Nakamura? Who's gonna be challenging him at Extreme Rules? I do think that's a question to ask. I don't know, maybe Baron Corbin, maybe Sami Zayn. I don't know, right? But there are a lot of baby faces. There's a lot of baby faces in that mid-card division. So it would be very interesting to see who's going to challenge Nakamura at Extreme Rules. You could potentially do Seth Rollins, maybe, right? I don't know. Seth does want the Universal Championship, but I don't know. Rollins is still a heel, and Roman's a heel. So I don't know if Rollins is going to be able to get back to the Universal Championship as long as he's a heel. But hey, I would not mind you doing a little side feud with Rollins and Nakamura at Extreme Rules, if they want to do that. But I don't know. I don't know. But I'm happy that Rick Boogs and Nakamura are having success. But I will ask, who's going to challenge Nakamura at Extreme Rules for the Intercontinental Championship? I do think we need to start figuring that out. Next thing, we had Dominic Mysterio versus Sami Zayn, right? So, we had so basically, where Ray told Dominic that he would be stepping back to let him be his own man. So, so it looks like they're teasing letting Dominic be more of a singles competitor, right? So it doesn't mean that they're done as a tag team, but, Ray does want Dominic to start becoming his own superstar and not just be his son. So Ray was like, yeah, I'm going to be taking a little bit of a step back and letting you do your own thing. So Ray said that he would be having a match against a mystery opponent, and, that opponent was revealed to be Sami Zayn. Not a bad opponent to have. This was actually not a bad match at all. Dominic set the pace early, but Zayn pulled down the rope during a 619 attempt, right? So then Zayn controlled during the break. Dominic made the babyface comeback and delivered the 619, but when he went for the frog splash, Zayn rolled out of the way. Then he delivered an exploder suplex and got the Luva kick for the win. So Zayn actually getting pretty much a clean victory here on Dominic, right? Using that veteran ring experience to his advantage. So it's going to be interesting to see how this story goes. Dominic learning more and more through facing different types of opponents, right? It's going to be interesting to see how does Dominic evolve. I could definitely see a rematch with these two next week because that's right up WWE's alley. Give Dominic a second chance to try to get his win back against Zayn. I could definitely see that being done next week. But we'll see what happens here. But this was a decent match to pass the time. We also had Naomi. It's crazy, right? Naomi making her return. This got me really excited because you guys know how much I love Naomi and how badly I wished she was being used better. You guys know my choice for Money in the Bank was Liv, but I wanted Naomi was 1B. If Liv was 1A, I would have Naomi as my 1B pick for Money in the Bank. And I was really excited when I heard Naomi was getting moved to SmackDown because the potential there with Naomi is endless. endless. You know, you can do a Naomi versus Becky match. You can do Naomi versus Bianca. You can do Naomi versus Sasha. There's a lot of cool matches you can do with Naomi on SmackDown. When I tell you guys, the SmackDown Women's division is stacked. It truly is stacked. They just need to do a better job of booking the division as a whole. But that division is stacked. So, but anyway, so Naomi came back, but she asked Sonya who was going to be her first match. But Sonya Sonya was like, "Oh, I didn't even know you've been moved to SmackDown, really. Like, well, I don't know what to tell you." And Naomi was like, "Wait, what? Like, I'm a 2-time SmackDown Women's Champion. You know, like, I've done more in my career than you have. You know, like, I don't get it. Like, what's going on here?" And Sonya said that, they would just discuss it next week. So it's going to be interesting. Is WWE going down this story with Naomi like people forgetting who she is and how talented she is, and her having to prove herself again? That could be an interesting story. Naomi going through the SmackDown Women's division, proving herself against everybody, reminding people of how great she is, and then eventually her, earning a SmackDown Women's Championship opportunity against, Sasha or Becky or Bianca, depending on who's champion a couple months by now. That could be interesting. Or maybe, right, maybe Naomi aligns herself with her husband, right, with Jimmy Uso, right, joins the bloodline, and then, then Naomi goes after the SmackDown Women's Championship, and then they truly compete the bloodline. That would be very, very cool. A lot of people have been wanting to see, like, a heel Naomi. Like, that would be cool. Naomi turns heel and joins the bloodline faction. Right? You could, someone texted me and told me, imagine us getting, like, Bianca with the Street Profits versus Naomi and the Usos. That would be great. You guys know how much I want the Street Profits and Naomi, or you guys know how much I want the Street Profits and the Usos Tag Team Championship feud, which was teased tonight on SmackDown. So, I'm just sitting there, I'm like, hell yeah. Give it to me, man. Like, hell yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. So, very, very interesting. Very, very interesting to see where the storyline goes with Naomi, right? I hope they don't mess it up. I'm glad, and I was very happy to see her on television, and it's just like, there's so many people in that women's division. I just wish WWE would find a way to use them all properly, but still, though. So, we'll see what happens. But I am happy to see Naomi back on television, and I am very curious to see where the storyline goes, because there's multiple ways it could go. Seth Rollins and Edge did cut promos backstage, right? Edge basically said that to beat Seth Rollins, he had to go to a place that he doesn't like to go to, and it affected him, at home and in other places of his life this week, but it didn't at the same time. And now that he's done with Seth, right, he's going to refocus himself on the Universal Championship. So he didn't really say anything surprising, but it will be interesting to see, what happens with Edge. Right, because I'm under the impression that we're probably not going to see Edge, most likely for the rest of the year. He's already. I think his contract has him at 6 matches a year, if I'm correct. So I feel like Edge has already reached that limit if we're counting the matches he's had on Raw and SmackDown this year. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe Edge has more matches. We don't know, but it will be interesting to see if Edge, is going back after Roman and the Universal Championship. Will be very interesting to see. But, Edge did make his intentions known that he still is trying to become Universal Champion. Seth cut a similar promo, talking about how people were calling the Edge and Seth Rollins match one of the best matches of the year, which it was. I think, in my opinion, it's the 3rd best main roster match we've seen this year. Right behind Sasha and Bianca, and the main event at WrestleMania with Roman, Bryan, and Edge in that triple threat match. But that's my opinion. That's my opinion. But it was one of the best matches of the year. I feel like nobody's going to deny how good that match was between Edge and Seth Rollins. So Seth was talking about how, Edge should be thanking him for giving him such a special moment and one of the most iconic moments of his career. And Seth also said that he learned something from Edge as well. And if he wants to be Universal Champion again, then maybe he needs to be a little bit more like Edge, right? Not saying that Seth's turning babyface, but basically Seth here is saying, he needs to turn a little more demonic. He has to go to that evil place more if he wants to truly become Universal Champion again. So, they teased a more ruthless Seth. So there is the potential if they want to continue this feud with Edge and Seth Rollins. They could, right? They could, especially since both men still want to be Universal Champion. So if they want to, they can continue this story. But it will be very, very interesting to see if Edge and Seth is going to continue into Extreme Rules. I know that WWE has a Saudi show in October, so this could go into that show, right? But they didn't necessarily say Edge and Seth is going to continue, but easily if they want to continue it, they have the road open to it to do it, and I wouldn't mind it. I would be surprised if they did it. But I wouldn't mind if they continued the feud with Edge and Seth Rollins. Because I enjoyed their feud. I enjoyed the build towards SummerSlam, and I enjoyed the match a lot. So if they want to continue with Edge and Seth Rollins, I'm all for it, if that's what they want to do. Last but not least here, before we get out of here, we have the Bloodline celebration, right? The Bloodline celebration with Roman, the Usos.
More efficiently. Which makes
as Roman celebrated his victory over Cena at SummerSlam, and the Usos celebrated their title defense.
It's your lucky night, ladies and gentlemen, for now you will also have the unique opportunity to acknowledge the undisputed SmackDown Tag Team Champions of the World, Jimmy and Jay, the cousins of the Tribal Chief, the Usos! Ladies and gentlemen,
and you have the fans in the background starting their own Uso chant.
In the show that we all get to see enough of John, all thanks to the beating at SummerSlam delivered by, and the fact that Mr. Cena was beaten by the undisputed Universal Champion, Roman Reigns. And since that's everyone is talking.
So Finn Balor came out.
Roman Reigns obviously not expecting this. Finn Balor. Family celebration with the bloodline.
The out of our match at SummerSlam by John Cena. Now don't worry, I haven't forgotten about Cena. I'll deal with him in due time. But now Edge is talking about the Universal Championship. And Brock Lesnar's back. I was going to come out here and challenge you to a match at our next pay-per-view Extreme Rules. But seeing as I don't trust anyone around here, and I'm not waiting in line, I'm challenging you to a match for the Universal Championship next week on SmackDown.
And then Balor goes after Roman Reigns, and then 3-on-1 beatdown. The Street Profits come out to even the odds. So there you get your tease right there, right? The Street Profits and the Usos. So we're finally getting the feud I wanted, right? Balor and the Street Profits get the advantage on, they were able, because it was 3-on-2, they were able to, beat down the Usos, as Roman, of course, watched at the top of the ramp like he usually does. And it was, in fact, confirmed. It was confirmed by WWE social media page, I believe on Instagram. We will be getting Balor and Roman next week in the main event of SmackDown, which should be, of course, an amazing main event. That's going to be great. But, like I said, I'm kind of glad we're getting it next weekend at a pay-per-view. Because if I'm being honest with you guys, it's just not believable to me personally that Roman will lose to Balor. It's that simple. Roman has reached that point in the reign where it's not believable that anybody will beat him. He's beating Edge and Bryan and Cena, and Brock Lesnar's on his tail. You really think you think that Roman is losing the title when he's this close to a big match with Brock Lesnar? No. He's not losing that title. So they're going to do the match next week and they're going to get it out of the way. Right? And it's going to be a great match. But it's at the point where you've made Roman look so much more dominant than everybody else. You've had Roman run through everybody. Everybody. Legends and current superstars. That it's hard to believe that anybody will take that title off of him. You have to build somebody up for months and months to make them even look like they have a chance against Roman. So as good a match, Roman and Balor will be, this is what's going to happen. Balor's going to go for a coup de grace. He's going to go for a coup de grace during that match. And then Roman's going to spear him out of midair. And then that's going to be that. Or Roman will make Balor, pass out with the guillotine. If the match is ending one of those two ways. Right? The match will be enjoyable, but they're at that point now where it's not believable that Roman will lose that title to anybody. So Balor, I'm sorry, as much as I love Balor, he's not winning. Enjoy the match next week. It'll be fun. But it will just be another name for Roman to add on the list of people he's beaten. And I believe next week, if I'm correct, marks Roman's full 365 days as champ, if I am correct. So, it's going to make next week even more special for Roman, right? As he passes the 1-year mark as Universal Champion. But either way, like I said, it's going to be a good match. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Will Brock show up next week? Will Edge show up next week? Or will it be Seth? I feel like one of those three men will come out to confront Roman once he beats Balor. All right? Because I expect Roman to defend at Extreme Rules. But we'll probably have more transparency about this situation next week on SmackDown. But like I said, this show wasn't awful or anything. It wasn't a bad show. I didn't do much ranting today. Outside of the SmackDown Women's Championship scene, which still pisses me off, right? And the women's division, which can be booked so much better right now. Right? This wasn't that bad a show. It wasn't that bad a show. But let me know in the comment section what you guys thought, bro. Like I said, I'm doing my best to keep you guys updated on the sausage situation, but there's no news for me to pass along. There's I wish I had more I could give you guys, but I don't know what's going on with Sasha. All I can say is I hope and pray that everything, is okay with her. And then when she is ready to come back, she can. But that's about all I got for you guys today. Thank you guys so very much for joining me right here on the podcast. If you guys enjoyed, as always, leave a like on the video. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. Hit that big red button. Also, hit the bell right next to my name, Fitzmonk TV, so you guys are notified every time I post a new video. Thank you guys for all the love and support. Thank you guys for all the new subscribers. Thank you to everyone who's followed me on social media these past couple of days, man. I'm a very busy guy. I can't get back to all of you. But still, it is great that I have that support from such a loyal fan base. I'll continue doing my thing. So I'm going to get out of here. I will see you guys later. I'll see you guys at the next podcast. You guys stay safe and healthy. Till then, peace.